That there were some good accomplishments that came out of it. We'll talk about some hits and some misses. But now you mentioned vaping, and there's been what I would say sort of startling reports of respiratory illness and including death here, even here in Minnesota, associated with that. What can the state do about that? San Francisco has banned vaping. Now that's obviously probably not in the cards, even in the House, but I don't know. The president says he's going to promote making it illegal to add flavoring to the vapor products. But what else can be done? Anything? Should the age be raised to 21, for example?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm always leery of the age thing just because some people are mature and responsible in their use of alcohol and vaping and marriage, and others aren't that responsible. So I'm always leery of age, but I want to keep it out of the high school. But if whatever age we decide on, let's work our tails off to keep it out of the hands of people that we deem are old enough to use it. But this vaping thing, it's another example. People complain about the high price of size and scope of government, but here's a classic example. Government needs to come in and regulate because kids are dying from vaping.
And I actually introduced the first bill in the Minnesota legislature to regulate e-cigarettes back in 2014, and it was very hard to get that across the finish line. Just this year, we finally passed a measure to include it in our Clean Indoor Air Act. And so Minnesota kind of fell behind, and we ended up having more kids using tobacco products, starting with vaping, moving to combustible tobacco. And we can talk about responsibility when it comes to smoking and using e-cigarette products, but it's hard to be responsible when you are ingesting an addictive product. And we know nicotine is highly addictive. And we know if you use tobacco as directed, you will get sick and you are likely to have a premature death. Flavors are a huge problem. In fact, the FDA banned tobacco flavors many years ago because it was such an introduction to kids getting hooked on nicotine. When we saw gummy bear and Fruit Loops flavors showing up in our vaping products, we knew that they were targeting kids and they were trying to get kids hooked on this product, and they have been way more successful than anyone could have imagined, and we are seeing dire consequences for it. So we have to take strong action, and I would very much be in favor of eliminating flavors for vaping. And
it's true, is it not, that this last session of the legislature passed measures that prohibited use of vaping in areas where cigarette smoking is also banned? Yep, it's in line with our Clean Indoor Air Act, and that passed with broad bipartisan support. I was very proud of that. I couldn't get that through a DFL legislature in 2014.
Well done. Congratulations.
One last question to you, Steve. You were on the ground. I mean, you were a teacher at Eden Prairie High School for 30 years. Did that predate the phenomena of vaping, or did you see it at all, or were you aware of it?
I left 3 years ago. I don't even think it didn't exist. I don't even think it was on anybody's radar except for Laurie, who introduced legislation.
But
if you talk to teachers, they'll tell you they know kids are vaping in school, even though they're not supposed to, because the clean door.
School?
In school. I've had more than one teacher tell me they know the kids are vaping in school because it's easy to hide.
Nice. So Minnesota has to take a very strong stance. We have a governor right now who I've been in conversations with the governor's office, and we are looking at what we can do from a public policy standpoint next year.
Democratic Visions is handcrafted by volunteers from Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Edina, Minnetonka, and Bloomington. Watch us on select cable systems and on our YouTube channel. This is Carol Sundstrom.